I Saw the Devil is a 2010 South Korean revenge thriller directed by jee-woon, and it is one of the most horrifying films I have ever seen. It's so violent that it had to be edited down over 7 times just to be shown in Korean theaters. The gore, while at times can be a little over the top, is only a small part of what makes this film so terrifying. What really makes I Saw the Devil so scary to me is its antagonist. Jang Kyung-chul is hands down one of the most vile and twisted villains in any piece of fiction I have ever seen. He's a sick and deprived sociopath who lives for causing pain and misery to others. He is an unrelenting monster whose only thrill in life is to cause as much death and carnage as he can. I love revenge films. There's something so satisfying watching the hero fight back, often in the most violent way possible, against the people who wronged them. Everyone at one point in their lives has felt vengeful, no matter how small or trivial the reason for that feeling may be. It's a universal emotion. As an audience, we get to satisfy this feeling by living vicariously through the protagonists. This is why revenge is such a popular genre. I Saw the Devil is the perfect revenge film. It's one of the many incredible revenge flicks that comes from South Korea, who makes some of the absolute best films in the genre. Movies like The Handmaiden, Lady Vengeance, The Chaser, The Man from Nowhere, A Bittersweet Life, and of course Oldboy are all considered to be some of the best revenge films ever made. Oldboy, which is my favorite movie of all time, actually shares a lot of similarities to I Saw the Devil. Choi Min-sik, who played Dae-soo in Oldboy, also plays Kyung-chul in I Saw the Devil. Now, the reason I wanted to make a video about I Saw the Devil actually has very little to do with its violence. This film asks a very interesting question, which is, how far would you be willing to go for revenge? How much of your humanity, of your soul, would you be willing to sacrifice to get even with someone who wronged you? It's an interesting question, one that a lot of other revenge films tends to leave unanswered. Rather than glorifying the idea of revenge like so many other films in the genre do, I Saw the Devil addresses it head on and shows the real repercussions of what revenge will lead to. Everyone has a monster within themselves. What this movie does so well is to show how unchecked emotions and anger can let that monster out. I am going to have to censor a lot of scenes throughout this video. If you'd like to watch the uncensored version of this video, it's up on my Patreon, which I will link down below. The film opens with a POV of someone driving through a snowstorm. The driver is a young woman named Joo-yoon. She ends up getting a flat tire and pulls over to the side of the road. She calls her fiancé, Soo-hyun, while she waits for a tow truck. It's Joo-yoon's birthday, and Soo-hyun, an NIS agent, has to work late. The NIS is essentially the South Korean version of the CIA. Joo-yoon is startled when a stranger comes up to her window. He offers to fix her tire despite her clear reluctance. The stranger takes a long look inside her car and then he walks away. Joo-yoon sees that the man was driving a school van. She starts to get nervous because she can't find the strange man anywhere. That is until he springs towards her window and starts smashing in her windshield. He breaks into the car and beats her unconscious. In a deleted scene, we see that Joo-yoon's tire was already slashed before she got in the car. The stranger followed her from the orphanage Joo-yoon was visiting. This wasn't a random attack, it was planned. Joo-yoon wakes up in a dingy abandoned warehouse, completely naked and wrapped in a tarp. The man who abducted her, Kyung-chul, starts tying her hands up while she begs for her life. In a last-ditch effort to try and save herself, Joo-yoon reveals that she's actually pregnant. Soo-hyun has no idea that he's going to be a father because she hasn't told him yet. Despite the poor girl's pleas, Kyung-chul decapitates her, then starts mutilating her body. While cutting off her hand, Joo-yoon's engagement ring flies off her finger and lands in a drain hole. Kyung-chul tries to find it, but to no avail. Little does he know, this single mistake will be the thing to lead to his downfall. Later, a young boy finds what looks to be a human ear in a black shopping bag. The police, along with a crowd of reporters, come to look for more evidence in the nearby ravine. As it turns out, Joo-yoon's father is the chief of police. Soo-hyun is there too. One of the officers finds Joo-yoon's severed head floating in a ravine. The forensic analyst carrying her head trips, causing it to roll on the ground as the vulture-like reporters start taking photos. Soo-hyun stands completely stunned as his fiancée's head rolls on the ground for everyone to see. After Joo-yoon's funeral, Soo-hyun decides to take some time off of work. He meets with Officer Jang and the two start looking through some police files. They find 4 possible suspects that have been accused of similar crimes, one of the suspects being Kyung-chul. Now that he has 4 possible leads, Soo-hyun gets to work. After tracking down the first two on his list and determining they weren't the killers, Soo-hyun sets his sights on Kyung-chul. Soo-hyun decides to visit Kyung-chul's parents to see if they can tell him where he is. Soo-hyun poses as an insurance investigator following a case involving Kyung-chul. It's here we learn that Kyung-chul actually has a son. He abandoned him and left him with his parents. It's been so long since his mother saw him, she doesn't even recognize the picture of him. The parents have no idea where he is. They have little to no contact with him anymore. Soo-hyun decides to see if the son knows anything. Hoping this could reunite him with his estranged father, the boy gives Soo-hyun his address. Next, we see Soo-hyun breaking into Kyung-chul's house. He eventually finds his trophies from the other victims: bags, bras, and shoes. Soo-hyun finds a hidden door that leads him to the warehouse. After some digging around, he eventually finds Jo-yoon's engagement ring in the drain hole. He has officially found his fiance's murderer. Later, we see Kyung-chul's at work. He picks up a group of schoolgirls to drive them home. We see that someone has put a tracking device on his van. The police come looking for Kyung-chul at the school, but when they get there, he's already gone. The movie never really explains why the police show up to the school in the first place, but there's actually a deleted scene that shows one of Chief Jang's colleagues, Section Officer O, is the one that gave Jang the police files. He did it as a favor, but he warns Jang that revenge, for a man of his age, is a dangerous game, and it's best just to forget it and live the rest of his life. Jang doesn't listen and takes the files to Soo-hyun. When one of Soo-hyun's victims is being treated at the hospital, he tells Oh that a crazy man beat him while asking him about Jo-yoon's disappearance. Oh connects the dots and realizes that Soo-hyun is the one doing this. He sends a few officers to the school in hopes they can get there before Soo-hyun does, but they're too late. Kyung-chul knows the police are after him now. With no job, and the cops after him, Kyung-chul has nothing left to lose. He abducts the last girl and brings her to a greenhouse. He starts undressing the girl while she cries and pleads with him to stop. Soo-hyun steps in before he can continue assaulting her. At first, Kyung-chul mistakes Soo-hyun for a cop. He charges him, but is quickly outmatched. He tries to put up a fight, and to his credit, gets some shots in, but he's ultimately no match for his much younger and much faster opponent. Soo-hyun chokes Kyung-chul unconscious with a plastic bag. There's a moment when Soo-hyun considers killing him right there and then, but decides against it. While unconscious, Soo-hyun makes Kyung-chul swallow a tracking device. Then he breaks his arm and leaves him in the hole with an envelope filled with cash. The game has begun. Kyung-chul leaves the greenhouse and starts walking down a road as Soo-hyun tracks him. A taxi comes and offers him a ride, despite the fact that the taxi already has a patron. At first, nothing seems wrong, as the taxi driver just tries to make small talk with Kyung-chul. But as he slowly starts to look around, he realizes that the man driving is not the taxi driver. These two men are thieves, who have unknowingly made the worst mistake of their lives. Kyung-chul gets the knife from his pocket and starts stabbing both men, going back and forth between the two. The taxi crashes to the woods. The thieves are dead, but Kyung-chul is fine. He finds the dead taxi driver and some spare clothes in the trunk. Then he drives himself to a doctor to get his arm fixed. While picking up some pain meds, Kyung-chul starts being creepy with the nurse. Later, he corners the nurse in the back and demands she undresses in front of him. Because Soo-hyun interrupted him the night prior, Kyung-chul intends to take his sick pleasures off on the nurse. He starts assaulting the girl when, once again, Soo-hyun steps in and starts beating him.
왜 이렇게 약한 척해? 이제 시작인데. 기억해둬. 점점 끔찍해질 거야.
This time, he cuts through his Achilles tendon. He wakes up again inside a car and starts looking for some kind of tracking device, not knowing that the device is inside of him. With nowhere left to go, Kyung-chul visits an old friend, a cannibal named Taeju, and his girlfriend named Sejong, who are held up in the home of a family the pair abducted and killed. Officer Jang calls Soo-hyun. He tells him to give it up and live the rest of his life. Se-yeon, Jo-yeon's sister, snatches the phone and pleads with Soo-hyun to stop. Soo-hyun says that he can't stop yet and hangs up the phone. There's actually a deleted scene that shows what happens after Soo-hyun hangs up. Officer Jang admits to Se-yeon that deep down, he doesn't want Soo-hyun to stop. He knows that letting this game go on is dangerous. He knows that a lot of people are going to get hurt, and that destroys him deep inside. But Jo-yoon was also his daughter. He wants revenge too. Between this scene and the scene that shows how Chief Jang got the files from Oh, I really wish they kept these scenes in the movie. They give Chief Jang so much more depth. We see that he had much more to do with Soo-hyun's vengeance than the original cut lets on. He takes a much more active role. In a sense, he's kind of like the puppet master. Granted, he's feeling some regret, but he's the one that made Soo-hyun go on this journey to begin with. Like Soo-hyun, we understand why he wants vengeance, but That doesn't change the fact that many people, because of him, are going to get hurt, and already have. He now has to live with the fact that he might have started something he knows he can't finish. Next, we see Kyung-chul and his cannibal friends having dinner. Don't get things twisted. Kyung-chul's having a piece of steak. I guess even a monster like Kyung-chul has his limits. Tae-ju comes to the conclusion that the man attacking Kyung-chul must be a family member of someone he's killed. He tells Kyung-chul that he has created a monster, that this man hunting him is just like them. He likes playing with his prey first before killing them at their most vulnerable moment. Soo-hyun listens to the whole conversation. This may be a truth he hasn't come to terms with yet. Tae-ju excuses himself from the table so he can go prepare his next meal. It's the daughter of the family they murdered. He ties her up and is about to kill her when Soo-hyun intervenes. While lying down, Kyung-chul finally realizes that Soo-hyun was Jo-yoon's fiancée. In a deleted scene, we can see Kyung-chul going through Jo-yoon's belongings, where he finds a picture of her and Soo-hyun. We also learn that Jo-yoon and Kyung-chul come from the same village. Back downstairs, Tae-ju and Soo-hyun start fighting. Kyung-chul hears the struggle and grabs a shotgun off the wall. Soo-hyun subdues Tae-ju and ties him up. He's about to cuff his hand before Kyung-chul comes in and takes a shot off at him. Soo-hyun narrowly escapes while Kyung-chul unties Tae-ju. Upstairs, Sejong and Tae-ju both try to attack Soo-hyun, but he's able to take both of them out quickly. He hears Kyung-chul trying to sneak up the stairs. He throws some call traps on the floor. Kyung-chul steps on one and loses his footing. Soo-hyun grabs a pipe and starts bashing him over the head. Then he starts beating him all over while he cries "why" over and over again. He decides to call the cops and have Tae-ju and Sejong arrested. He has Kyung-chul patched up in secret so he can send him out again. While pretending to be asleep, Kyung-chul overhears Soo-hyun and his friend at the agency talking about the tracking device that's inside of him. Next, we see Kyung-chul wake up next to some train tracks. Physically, he's in bad shape, yet he laughs as he walks away. He knows how he's been tracked, and he knows how to get rid of it. He starts talking directly to Soo-hyun now. He starts taunting him while rummaging through a pharmacy. Kyung-chul finally reveals to Soo-hyun that Jo-yoon was pregnant. After taking some laxatives, Kyung-chul is able to pass the tracking device. He kills another man in the bathroom and plants the device on him. Once again, Soo-hyun narrowly misses him. Kyung-chul calls the police department to say he's turning himself in. Out of options now, Soo-hyun goes back to Tae-ju to see where he might be. Tae-ju says that Kyung-chul always gets even. First, he killed Jo-yoon. Next, he's going to kill her family. Tae-ju mockingly says that Jo-yoon didn't have it so bad. Unlike him, Kyung-chul likes to give pleasure before he gives pain. One of the agents calls Soo-hyun and tells him he was able to track Kyung-chul's phone. He's in Jo-yoon's old village, which means he's going after Squad Chief Jang and Se-yoon. Soo-hyun tries calling Jang, but he's in the front garden when Kyung-chul comes to the front porch posing as a delivery man. Now desperate, Soo-hyun calls Oh. Unfortunately, it's too late. We see Kyung-chul moving throughout the house, digging through the fridge and looking at family pictures while he holds a bloody knife. We see Chief Jang lying on the ground. Not dead, but not in great shape either. Kyung-chul grabs a weight and starts bashing Jang's face in with it. At the same time, Se-yoon comes back home. Kyung-chul hides in a corner and attacks her from behind. Soo-hyun finally gets to the house, but it's far too late. All the cops, including Officer Oh, are already there. Oh blames Soo-hyun for everything that's happened. Soo-hyun seems to be blaming himself as well. Oh allows Soo-hyun to go inside and see what has happened. Surprisingly, Chief Jang is still alive. Se-yoon, however, is nowhere to be found. Kyung-chul calls Oh with Jang's phone and tells him to put Soo-hyun on.
어떠냐? 예전 느낌이 와? 그러길래 왜 그렇게 지랄 떨면서 댐비나 댐비기를 이 겁대가리 막가지 새끼야. 네가 볼 땐 누가 이긴 것 같아?
He reveals that he killed Se-yoon and left her body in an alleyway. Keeping his word, Kyung-chul goes to turn himself in. He parks in the middle of the street as the whole police force waits for the moment to grab him. Soo-hyun is able to get there before the cops can grab him. He takes the door off his car and grabs Kyung-chul right in the middle of the street. Soo-hyun takes him back to his old warehouse. He has Kyung-chul tied up to his makeshift guillotine. Soo-hyun admits that he underestimated Kyung-chul. He will not make that mistake again as he starts torturing him. He tells Kyung-chul that he will only kill him at his most painful moment. Kyung-chul starts begging for his life, something he's heard many times. He breaks down and starts asking for forgiveness. Soo-hyun asks if he's scared. As it turns out, all the crying and begging was just an act.
이제 그만큼 데리고 놀았으면 그만해라 이 씨발 새끼야. 젖가는 소리 좀 그만하세요. 넌 이미 졌어.
He isn't afraid. He can't feel fear, he's incapable of it, or feeling any other regular human emotion for that matter. Soo-hyun has one more ace up his sleeve. He ties the rope to the guillotine around the door to the warehouse. He puts the other end in Kyung-Chol's mouth. Soo-hyun walks away as Kyung-Chol berates him through the tracking device. As soon as he leaves, we see a strange-looking car pull up behind him. It's Kyung-Chol's son and parents. Soo-hyun brought them there under the false pretense that they were reunited with him. Kyung-Chol hears his family talking from outside. He now realizes what's about to happen. He tries to tell them not to open the door, but they can't understand him with the rope in his mouth. Soo-hyun is going to get Kyung-Chol's family to kill him for him. He listens through the tracking device as Kyung-Chol pleads to him. For the first time during the course of this whole film, Kyung-Chol actually feels fear. His family opens the door as the guillotine comes down and cuts his head off. His family watches as his severed head rolls on the ground, just like Soo-hyun had to watch Joo-yoon's head roll on the ground too. Soo-hyun walks away as he hears Kyung-Chol's family cry and scream. He takes out his headphones and starts to sob as he continues walking down the road. This is where the film ends. To me, there are two aspects that make I Saw the Devil so great. First is the incredible score by legendary Korean composer Moog. The soundtrack to this film is fantastic. Every track perfectly fits each scene and helps set the tone, whether it be a fast-paced action sequence or a slower and more cathartic moment. In those moments when the action is picking up, the score helps intensify these scenes and fills you with that visceral feeling of dread. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. The second and more obvious thing that makes this film so great is the cat and mouse game between Soo-hyun and Kyung-Chol. Both characters are played brilliantly by their respective performers. Kyung-Chol is such a terrifying and vile villain. Something that makes him even scarier to me is how he doesn't even seem to enjoy killing that much. After he kills that girl from the bus stop early on in the film, he just casually continues on with his day, because it's so routine to him at this point. It isn't until later when he realizes who Soo-hyun is that he actually shows any level of enjoyment out of the pain he causes. It's almost like he kills purely out of boredom. It's only after he realizes that he finally has an equal that he starts having fun. Choi Min-sik did a phenomenal job playing such a disgusting and heinous character. I think it's easy to overlook Lee Byung-hun's performance as Soo-hyun because he has to work off Choi Min-sik's fiery and bombastic performance as the antagonist. I'm sure it wasn't easy trying to work off of that, but he really does do a fantastic job here. Despite being the main character, he really doesn't say all that much for a good chunk of the movie. A lot of his acting is done through his eyes and facial expressions. A good example of that is in the greenhouse, when he first sees Kyung-Chol. You can see a wave of different emotions through his eyes alone. He's finally face to face with the man who killed his fiancée. He's already planned out this elaborate game where Kyung-Chol is going to suffer, but in this single moment, he wants to end it all and kill him right there. He considers it, but decides the punishment isn't good enough. In his own way, Soo-hyun could be just as terrifying as Kyung-Chol. Choi Min-sik is known for giving very fiery and intense performances, while Lee Byung-hun is known for playing characters who are more low-key and cold. Director Kim Jee-woon wanted this kind of fire and ice dynamic in his film. He felt it was important to show that contrast between the two main characters. Both men play off each other very well. Most other revenge movies would have had the protagonist fight his way towards the villain for a large part of the film, either by fighting off his henchmen or overcoming some internal obstacle. I Saw the Devil subverts that trope by having the protagonist catch the villain early on and willingly release him over and over again. This makes for an interesting dynamic that isn't seen in many other stories. Their battle is both engaging and frightening. Kyung-Chol is like a rabid animal. He just kills and tortures to his heart's content without caring for any possible consequences. Soo-hyun is smart and calculated. He's much more patient than his murderous counterpart. He waits for his moment to strike. This makes both men unpredictable. You never know what either of them are going to do next. It's also fascinating to see how the roles switch towards the end of the film, when Soo-hyun becomes more deranged and angry, and Kyung-Chol becomes the more cool and collected one. Something I really like in this film is how it doesn't glorify revenge. It actually looks at it in a realistic light, which is to say that revenge is destructive, and nothing good can come from it. Revenge is inherently narcissistic. Research has shown that people hell-bent on revenge often lack forgiveness and rank high in narcissistic characteristics. A lot of Western revenge films, take Kill Bill for example, tend to show revenge as a means to find closure after being wronged. While I really like Kill Bill, in fact it's probably one of my more favorite Tarantino films, I do find it to be a little formulaic, and I never really cared much for the ending, because everything just wraps up a little too nicely. All the bad guys are dead, Kiddo reunites with her daughter, and they drive off into the sunset all smiles and daisies. I understand from a viewing standpoint, we often live vicariously through the hero, so it feels good when there's a happy ending, but it's not very realistic. In real life, there is nothing to gain from vengeance, nothing to come from it than more pain and suffering, and by the end, you have lost some of yourself. This is what we see with Soo-hyun. Grief is an important part of the healing process. Soo-hyun never allowed himself to grieve. Even at Joo-yoon's funeral, he doesn't allow himself to cry. He never takes a moment to stop and come to terms with the pain of losing his fiancée. Instead, he's only focused on getting his revenge. And he'll stop at nothing to achieve that goal, even if it means putting completely innocent people in harm's way. He repeatedly lets a serial killer go, knowing more innocent people are going to get hurt. He even uses the nurse and the schoolgirl as bait. The most basic idea of revenge is getting even with the person or persons who wronged you. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You want the person who wronged you to feel the same type of pain they caused you. The problem is, how can you get even with someone who did something monstrous to you without becoming a monster yourself? This is the dilemma Soo-hyun finds himself in. He could have turned Kyung-chol into the police, and so many lives, including that of his own sister-in-law, would have been spared. But he didn't want to. He wanted him to suffer. And this is what brings us to the ending. In this moment, Soo-hyun realizes he can never hurt Kyung-chol in the way he was hurt. He's far too gone. Normal human emotions just don't apply to him. He doesn't feel fear. He could just kill him and get it over with. But as we've seen time and time again, Soo-hyun doesn't want to just get it over with. He wants him to suffer. So, Soo-hyun decides if he can't hurt Kyung-chol, then he's going to hurt his family. He's going to torture them the same way Kyung-chol tortured Jo-yoon. And he succeeds at this. Kyung-chol's dead, and his family will forever be traumatized by this. And what does Soo-hyun get? Nothing. He's left with absolutely nothing. In fact, he actually has less now than what he started with. What happened to Jo-yoon was completely out of his control, but he's directly responsible for what happened to Officer Jang and Se-yoon. His actions led to their death, plus everyone else Kyung-chol killed along the way. And by the end, it really didn't change anything. Jo-yoon is still gone. Nothing was ever going to change that. This tragic reality hits Soo-yoon as he walks down that long road. A road filled with anger and shame. Angry that he's lost his fiancée, and shame for the monster he has become. And by the end, all that's left is pain, because pain is the only road revenge will ever lead you down. As I'm sure you can tell, I love this movie. I hope me talking about it will encourage more people to check it out. If you made it this far into the video, I would like to ask you to please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you liked it, because there will be plenty more videos like this to come. I would like to give a very special shout out to Christian Sanchez, Mogul Ryan, Some Other Guy, Patchy Boy, Ishmael Valerius, Nathan L. Garcia, Jason Coward, Funny Little Man, Carl Anderson, Stephen Jordan, Ellen Rosenow, Carelessness is the Enemy, Onyx, Trutton King, Kieran Dow, Seth, Tyler Kruzik, Anthony Ferrara, Karen Ferrara, Alexandru Gospudin, Smoke and Void, Dante Approves, and Sidio Troy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, until next time, see ya.